Dr. Andy Thomson is a psychiatrist in private practice here in Charlottesville, Virginia. He's also a member of the Counseling and Psychological Services staff at the UVA Student Health Services. He also works with Region 10 and is on staff at the UVA's Institute of Law, Psychiatry, and Public Policy. Dr. Andy Thomson joins me live in studio. That's a mouthful. You're a very busy man. Thanks for being here, Andy.
Thank you for having me.
We have a whole lot we want to talk about, and really been looking forward to this conversation. And we'll have you for the full hour here. And we want to let folks know again the phone number in case you want to join the conversation is 977-1070. Listener, you are welcome at any time if you've got a question or a comment for Dr. Thomson. Andy, let's start with a 101, just a little bit about yourself and where you're from and how you grew up and became a psychiatrist.
I was born in Washington, D.C., raised in Alexandria, Virginia, went to Duke University for my undergraduate training, then came to University of Virginia for medical school, stayed for my residency in psychiatry, and just been here ever since.
Hard to leave, isn't it?
Very hard to leave. Great place.
So when did you first come to Charlottesville?
August of 1970.
70. So you've seen some changes here.
Yes.
Just a little. They didn't even have the 64 hadn't even opened yet in 70.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think that was 71 or 72.
Yeah, 8,000 students, I think, all total.
And of course, that's before the downtown mall and before 29 North and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for being here. The best place to start in discussing your work is we want to talk about your research on antidepressants and the effect on the brain and your work on why we believe in God. But preface all of this by telling us about this field that you work in, evolutionary psychology. Is that the best way to put it? Or what name can we put on it that talks about how the brain works?
Its original name was sociobiology. It has changed into evolutionary psychology. In many ways, it's an outgrowth of the cognitive neuroscience revolution and the application of evolutionary biology, Darwinian principles to the mind and the brain.
And so how the brain has changed over time and adapted and what we deal with today.
The way to think about it is the mind is what the brain does, and the brain, like every other piece of living tissue, evolved under the rules of Darwinian natural selection. A way of thinking about it is that every living organism, if you think every plant, every animal, it's an integrated collection of problem-solving devices, adaptations, and these adaptations are functional. And they evolved over deep time, over evolutionary time, to promote in some way the genes that built those adaptations. Now, that's a mouthful. Think of it this way. The heart solves the problem of pumping blood. Hemoglobin solves the problem of transporting oxygen. The lung solves the problem of extracting oxygen from the air. At every level of biological inquiry, from membranes to minds, Darwinian natural selection and this view of life. That definition is similar for the mind. The mind, again, is what the brain does, and the brain is this integrated collection of problem-solving devices that evolved over evolutionary times, from simple brains to the brains of human beings that are probably, one of the most complex, if not the most complex, in the world.
We're talking with Dr. Andy Thomson at the University of Virginia. Honored to have him live in studio. I'm Coy Barefoot. It's Monday on Charlottesville Right Now, and I hope you're doing well, and I'm glad to be back live on Rose Hill Drive. What do you say to somebody who would listen to what you just said and say, it didn't evolve, there's intelligent design, I read a book on intelligent design, there's all sorts of evidence for it, how, with the mind, and clearly there is the imprint of a designer on this end product?
Well, one of the adaptations in our mind is a bias towards seeing design in things, seeing functions. It had a survival benefit, and you see it most clearly in children. If you ask a child what a stone is for, a child is going to say it's for an animal to scratch itself. When you ask a child what a lake is for, they're going to say for fish to swim in. Our minds are biased towards looking for explanations, for design, for creation. And it's a very natural extension of the way our minds are built to believe in or accept sort of creationist beliefs. but intelligent design, I think, is simply wrong. And a Republican judge in Pennsylvania essentially said so.
We're talking with Dr. Andy Thomson at the University of Virginia. Let's talk about your research on antidepressants. And tell us about the research, and then tell us some of the things that you've learned and some of the conclusions you've come to.
Well, this was work done with Helen Fisher, an anthropologist at Rutgers and now in New York City. And again, you go back to that view that I just mentioned a little while ago, that the mind and the brain and our body contain these problem-solving devices, these adaptations, very specific adaptations. And if you look at our sexual romantic life, again, it's made up of very, very specific adaptations. We experience it consciously as a seamless whole, but it's really very specific components. And the antidepressants, which are widely used, particularly any antidepressants that boost a neurotransmitter called serotonin, cause sexual side effects. And we think, Dr. Fisher and I think, that these sexual side effects are perhaps a little bit more serious than appreciated. And in my own patient population, I would have people that said that they felt they no longer loved their spouse and had even thought about divorce. And really what they were experiencing was a sexual side effect of the antidepressants. Another way of looking at it, again, is that sexual desire is an adaptation. That's what gets you on the playing field. Then romantic love is an adaptation that gets you to focus on a particular partner. And the attachment system, the very system that we use for caretaking and parent to child, that attachment system is also used in marriage and bonding. And these drugs interfere with those systems. Now, these drugs are very important. They're very crucial to treating depression, but they do have side effects, and they do have these sexual side effects, and we think they're more serious than appreciated. And we also think that there may be some sexual side effects that an individual isn't exactly conscious of. And there's one Canadian researcher that actually showed that women rating the attractiveness of male faces, when they were on antidepressants, their rating of attractiveness of male faces seemed to be affected even though they weren't conscious of it.
We're talking with Dr. Andy Thomson at the University of Virginia, and the phone lines are open at 977-1070. Jim, waiting patiently on line one. Jim, you're on with Dr. Thomson. You go right ahead.
Well, good afternoon. I guess I'm curious, before you started talking, Coy made a comment about, and this is why we believe in God, and I guess it's part of an evolution thing. So for what purpose do we evolve?
Yeah, I prefaced the subject, Why We Believe in God, because that's the title of one of your most recent talks, which we want to talk about today. But I guess Jim's question is there a function or a purpose to evolution itself? Is that right, Jim?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the whole universe seems to be a changing of energy from one state to another. It seems to be spreading out and at an accelerating rate. A lot of things break down. So I certainly believe in evolution, but I don't know why, what force there is or for what purpose we would find one state of being more beneficial or better, quote, somehow qualitatively different from another state of being.
Well, there's no purpose to life other than making more life. That, in a sense, every animal, you and I, are biodegradable packages designed by our genes to get our genes to the next generation. And those animals or plants that had particularly good systems for getting the genes to the next generation are the ones that survived and prospered. If you're looking for purpose, I guess the purpose of life is to make more life.
We're talking with Dr. Andy Thomson. Jim, thank you for the call. Let's go to Roger on line 2. Roger, you're on with Andy Thomson. Go right ahead.
Thank you, and thank you, Dr. Thompson, for taking my question.
You're welcome.
I want to dovetail on the last question. Actually,